What's up everybody, happy Friday. I hope you all had a fantastic week. Today on the channel we're going to be playing a little bit of NHL Over or Under. We've done at least one of these per off season for like the past 5 years now, so if you've been subscribed to the channel for a while you probably already know how this works. But for those of you who don't, it's a pretty simple concept. I make a post on the community tab asking you guys to give me a player name and a point total or goal total or a goaltender name and a save percentage, something like that, and then I pick out a bunch of the comments and we go through them in a video and I give you guys my predictions on if I think the player will be over or under the given total this upcoming season. And as always, when it comes to these interactive videos, you guys absolutely killed it. There's over 330 comments on the post right now, so I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who took the time to leave a comment on the post. Even the ones that don't get featured in the video, just know I read every single comment and I appreciate all of you guys. If this is your first time checking out the channel and you want NHL content just like this all year round, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get the video started with the first comment. This one comes from Mikey Cherry, who says, Lucas Reichel, 65 points. He's got confidence and has a body language that attacks towards the net, similar to what William Nylander has. His skill is there, and I think him playing with Bedard is only going to make it easier. I'm a big fan of Lucas Reichel. I think he has a ton of potential. He's dominated the AHL over the past 2 seasons and got into 23 games with the Hawks last year and put up 15 points in those 23 games. That is a pretty solid pace. A line of Conor Bedard, Taylor Hall, and Lucas Reichel could definitely be a lot of fun. I fully expect Reichel to play a pretty pivotal role for the Blackhawks this season. 65 points, though, that is quite a bit. That's actually kind of in the range of what I'm expecting from Conor Bedard in his rookie season with the Blackhawks, between 65 to 70 points. So for Lucas Reichel here, I am going to play it safe. I'll take the under, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's under by just a couple of points, like he's in that 55 to 60 point range. The next comment we have comes from the Hockey Lego Bag, who says, Yuri Slafkovsky, 40 points. It'll be interesting to see him take a step forward in his sophomore season and how big that step will be. So yeah, it's no secret that Slafkovsky had a bit of a disappointing rookie season compared to the expectations for a first overall draft pick, especially in a market like Montreal, where if you struggle, oftentimes you're overly criticized, and if you're performing well, sometimes you're overhyped. It's a lot similar to Toronto in that aspect, but overall, I would say it was definitely a rookie season to forget to put in the rearview mirror for Yuri Slafkovsky. He only played 39 games, obviously had the injury, didn't look like a game breaker in those 39 games, but for the majority of the season, this guy was 18 years old. Was also only averaging a little over 12 minutes of ice time per game. You have to imagine this is a guy who's going to look a lot more comfortable heading into his second season. He now knows what to expect. He's going to have, his second training camp and preseason under his belt. In all likelihood, Slafkovsky is probably going to see a pretty significant increase in his ice time as well. I think he'll get all the opportunity in the world to play in the top 9 on a consistent basis, get power play time, so I'm going to take the over. I definitely think 40 points is achievable. I could definitely see Slafkovsky finishing next season in that 20 to 25 goal range and, adding 20 or 25 assists, in that 40 to 45 point range. This next comment comes from Jacoby Andrew, who says, Erik Karlsson over under 40 power play points. I have a feeling he's going to be the guy on the Penguins power play, and also really appreciate the support. Yeah, the Penguins power play is likely going to be insane. You have a unit that consists of Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, and Erik Karlsson. Doesn't even matter who that 5th guy is. That being said, I am going to take the under on this. 40 power play points in a single season is pretty insane. Erik Karlsson has actually never even really came close to that in his career. The most he's had in a single season is 31. This past season, where Karlsson of course won the Norris Trophy, put up 100 plus points, only 27 of those points came on the power play, and even though he's going to a much better team, I am expecting Karlsson's numbers to take a little bit of a step back. I don't think he's going to produce at the same rate he did this past season. Maybe he maintains his power play totals because the Penguins power play is going to be so nasty and he's in, the range of 25 to 30 power play points, but 40 is a lot, so I am going to play it safe here and take the under. The next comment we have comes from a name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but you can see it here on the screen. Over or under Jack Eichel getting 100 plus points. Many have forgotten that Jack Eichel is actually an elite player, but with playing a lot of minutes with good wingers with Marchessault and Barbashev, I could see him getting 100 plus points, and also really appreciate the support. This is a tough one. Jack Eichel definitely started to look a lot more like himself, like the elite player that we know Jack Eichel can be this past season. He had 66 points in 67 games, was fantastic in the playoffs en route to Vegas' Stanley Cup. He had 26 points in 22 playoff games. Jack Eichel has never had 100 or more points in a season. He's actually never scored at a 100 plus point pace in a single season. Now that being said, although it feels like he's been in the NHL forever, Jack Eichel is still only 26, which is insane. I think the best is still yet to come from Jack Eichel. So you know what, especially with scoring in the NHL continuing to rise, I'm going to go with Jack Eichel over 100 plus points if he stays healthy, of course. There was 11 players this past season who scored 100 or more points, one of those guys being Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. If he can do it, I definitely think Eichel can do it. This next comment comes from Brendan Hurley, who says, over under Pavel Zacha 70 plus points. Playing with Marchand and Pastrnak, he could put up serious numbers. Pavel Zacha is coming off of a career year, 21 goals, 57 points in 82 games. Those are career highs for him across the board. After Bergeron and Krejci both decided to retire this offseason, you look at the Bruins center depth chart right now, and Pavel Zacha is probably number one on that list. Him or Charlie Coyle. Me personally, I would go the Zacha as the 1C heading into next season. You have to think he's going to see an increase in ice time. There's almost a guarantee that he's going to be playing with at least one of Pastrnak or Marchand. Probably not both. I feel like Boston might split those guys up to kind of balance out the top six. Man, this one's kind of tough. I'm really going back and forth in my head on this one. He'd only have to score 14 more points next season than he did last season to score more than 70 points, which definitely sounds achievable, especially given the fact that he's probably going to be their number one center now, but also Boston's probably not going to be near as good as they were this past season. Also, prior to this past season, his previous career high was just 36 points. You know what? I'm going to take the under on this one. I definitely think he can replicate his numbers from this past season, being like that 55 to 60 point range, but 70 points for a player like Zacha, I feel like that is a lot. Moving along now, this next comment comes from Zora Games, who says, Jonathan Drouin over or under 60 plus points. He had really good chemistry with McKinnon in the CHL. I feel like that same chemistry could translate into the NHL, and Drouin will put up more points. He also has Rantanen on the other wing, and also appreciate the kind words. As much as I want to see Jonathan Drouin absolutely pop off, I'm going to take the under on this one. There's also no guarantee that he actually plays on a line with McKinnon and Rantanen. The skill is definitely there. I mean, this is a guy who was selected 3rd overall by the Lightning in 2013. He's got fantastic vision, great set of hands, but you got to remember, this is a guy who has struggled mightily, really over the past 4 seasons. Not only has he struggled when he's been in the lineup, but he's struggled to really stay in the lineup. The most games he's played in a single season since 2018-19 is 58, and that was this past season, and he only had 2 goals in those 58 games. Again, I hope I'm wrong here. I hope Drouin has an amazing training camp in preseason, finds himself on a line with McKinnon, and absolutely lights it up. These two guys were so much fun to watch together on the Mooseheads, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to see them dominate the NHL together just like they did the CHL. The next comment we have comes from RJ, who says Tyler Bertuzzi over under 25 goals and 65 points, with health being the biggest concern here. We know he'll have the talent around him to be able to produce, but can he stay on the ice long enough to get it done? Without even thinking about this one too much, I'm taking the over on both the 25 goal number and the 65 point number. This is a guy who has had a 30 goal, 60 point season on a very bad Red Wings team, and I believe he did that in playing less than 70 games. Tyler Bertuzzi is expected to start the season on the Leafs top line with Matthews and Marner, replacing the role that Michael Bunting played. And as much as I love Dylan Larkin, Tyler Bertuzzi has never played with line mates anywhere near as good as Matthews and Marner. Those two are magic together. I think Bertuzzi is going to complement them very well. I would not be surprised to see him have like a 35 goal, 80 to 85 point season. If he stays healthy, of course, like you mentioned, that is definitely the biggest concern here. If he plays even just 70 plus games, I think he's going to shatter these numbers. This next comment comes from Gramey, who says JJ Peterka over or under 60 points, underrated young star who seems ready to take off. And also really appreciate the kind words. Love me some JJ Peterka. It was so much fun watching him in the 2021 World Juniors absolutely carry Germany on his back along with Tim Stotzla. Those two were dynamite together. Peterka is coming off of a very solid rookie season, 32 points for the Sabres in 77 games while playing bottom 6 minutes. I think he's going to see a significant increase in ice time heading into his sophomore season. He's projected to start the season in the Buffalo Sabres top 6. That being said, 32 points to 60 plus points would be quite the jump from a rookie to sophomore season, but screw it. Like I mentioned, I'm a big Peterka fan, so I'm going to take the over here. If he has a sophomore slump, I'm going to look pretty stupid. The next comment we have comes from Kendall, who says Andrei Kuzmenko, 40 goals. He had 39 in his first year in the NHL, and I think he can have an even better second season. The Canucks and their fans could not have asked for a better first season in the NHL from Andrei Kuzmenko. Like you said, 39 goals, 74 points in 81 games, had fantastic chemistry with Elias Pettersson. Kuzmenko very quickly became a fan favorite in Vancouver, should be a cornerstone for that franchise for quite some time. That being said, I'm smashing smashing the under on this one. Andrei Kuzmenko had a 27.3 shooting percentage this past season, which was far and away the best in the NHL among players who played at least 14 or more games. On average, for about every 4 shots Andrei Kuzmenko took this past season, 1 of them went in, which is absolutely insane and I think very unsustainable. Now, I'm not saying I think Andrei Kuzmenko's production is going to completely fall off of a cliff. I don't think he was a one-year wonder or anything like that. This is a guy that I think can definitely still be year in, year out a consistent 25 to 30 goal scorer, but 40 goals, I'm going to take the under for sure. Moving along now, this next comment comes from Sam Wiley, who says Marco Rossi, 60 points. Hopefully he gets top line minutes and is not a bench warmer this season. I think Marco Rossi has a very bright future, but 60 points after having just 1 assist in 19 games this past season, and like he said, kind of being a bench warmer, didn't get a ton of minutes when he was in the lineup. I got to take the under here. At the very least, I am expecting Rossi to be a full-time NHLer for the Wild this season, but probably not going to be getting first-line minutes right away, so that's kind of why I'm saying under here. Next up, this comment comes from Connor McDrysaddle, who says Bedard over or under 29.5 goals and over or under 69.5 points. So like I mentioned earlier in the video when talking about Lucas Reichel, I'm expecting Bedard to be somewhere in that, 65 to maybe 75 point range. Obviously, the hype around Conor Bedard has been absurd for like the past 2 years now. He's viewed as probably the best prospect that we've seen since Connor McDavid back in the 2015 draft. I'm really excited to see what Conor Bedard is going to be able to do at the NHL level. I'm trying to keep my expectations in check just because I feel like if you're expecting him to, have a 100 point rookie season, you're probably going to be left disappointed. But in that 70 point range, definitely achievable for somebody as skilled as Conor Bedard, even on what's likely going to be a bad Blackhawks team. So I'm going to go ahead and take the over on these numbers, over 29.5 goals, over 69.5 points. Next up from Josh Halvey, who says Alexi Lafreniere over under 50 points. Hopefully he is able to take the next step this year. The Rangers lost some key guys, which should hopefully give him an opportunity, but if he doesn't have a big year, I would hope that he got moved at the deadline to have a chance somewhere else. Like you mentioned, the Rangers have lost guys this offseason, players like Patrick Kane, Vladimir Tarasenko, which opens up spots for young guys like Lafreniere and Capo Caco to play in the top 6. They did sign Blake Wheeler though. I'm sure Wheeler's going to be vying for a spot in the top 6, so that adds a little bit of internal competition there. Although Lafreniere has not lived up to being, the first overall draft pick just yet, he has gradually gotten better year after year. 21 points as a rookie, 31 points as a sophomore, and then a career high 39 points this past season. And at this point, that's kind of what I've come to expect from Alexi Lafreniere. He's just going to gradually improve year after year. I don't think he's going to have, one of those explosive seasons, kind of like what Jack Hughes did last year, but going from 39 points to, 50-ish points, very achievable for somebody as skilled as Alexi Lafreniere. So I'm going to take the over here. If he's not at least a 50-point guy this season, I feel like there's going to be a lot of disappointed Rangers fans and a lot of people disappointed in the Rangers organization. Moving on now, this next comment comes from IRL88 NHL, who says Alex DeBrincat over under 40 goals. He has done it twice before, and if he plays with good teammates, I think that could be possible. Also, appreciate the kind words. I'm going to take the under on this one. I want to keep my expectations in check as a Red Wings fan because, again, similar to what I said about Bedard, if you're a Red Wings fan and you're expecting DeBrincat to have, a 45-50 goal season, you might be left disappointed if he only scores in like the 30 goal range. Also, both of DeBrincat's 40-plus goal seasons came playing with Patrick Kane. Back when Patrick Kane was still playing at a very elite level, the Red Wings don't have a playmaker like that. So my expectations for DeBrincat is he'll finish somewhere in that 30 to 35 goal range, but hey, obviously I hope I'm wrong. The next comment comes from Alfie's Mullet, love the name. Tim Stotzla, 100 points. I am smashing the over here. Stotzla just had a massive breakthrough season, 90 points in 78 games, really developed into that game-breaking forward that the Senators have been looking for. Stotzla is a guy that I'm honestly expecting to be a perennial 100-point player for a very long time. He's the real deal. And now for the final comment of this video, this one comes from Kaner's Cab Ride, who says, how much 100-point scorers over or under 12? So like I said earlier in this video, there was 11 this past season, which is a ton, especially considering the fact that Jamie Benn won the Art Ross back in 2015 with, what was it, like 88 or 89 points, something like that. This is really a tough one because when I look at the list of players who had 100 points this past season, I feel like there's going to be a good amount of of guys that, you know, have a bit of a drop in production and maybe don't hit that 100-point mark, but then there's also a good group of guys that didn't hit the 100-point mark that I could see doing it this season. So I don't know, this one's really a toss-up. I guess I'll go with the under, just because again, there was only 11 this past season and I felt like that was a lot, but scoring in the NHL seems to go up year after year, so would not be surprised at all if there's like 13 or 14 and I'm wrong here. So that is going to wrap up this episode of NHL Over or Under. If you guys want to see another episode of this series before next season starts, then be sure to show love in this video, leave a like, let me know down below in the comments that you enjoyed. Also, as always, I want to know your guys' thoughts, so feel free to let me know what you would pick for all of the players and totals we got in this video. Would you go over or under on them? Let me know your picks down below. And lastly, and most importantly, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this all year round, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you all soon.